You're not alone. That's what we're calling our year-long series on mental health, which begins tonight.
Every month, we'll take on a new topic. This month, it's our children and the challenges affecting their mental health.
September is National Suicide Prevention Month. Every day, 12 kids in the United States die by suicide.
Last year, a 15-year-old boy from Okemos was among them. Eli Fleetwood's death rocked the tight-knit community and sparked a new foundation that is fast and furiously working to save others.
Yo! That thing's sick!
A boy with a big smile and a big personality who loved life.
Love to be outdoors, love to, hike and, be out in the water.
A boy who seemed to have it all, a loving family and friends. From the outside, Eli Fleetwood looked like a healthy, happy boy. Inside, he struggled. That private pain leading him to take his own life.
He had been doing really well, and then, had a night where he, made some bad choices, and, unfortunately, I think that was just, kind of the thing that pushed him over the edge.
It was gut-wrenching. It was awful. I didn't think it was real.
For Eli's sister Allie and friend Raina, it's hard to understand. A lively, lovable boy gone without a goodbye.
I don't think he realized how many people loved him. Everybody loved him.
Love couldn't heal the pain. As a young child, Eli dealt with uncertainty and loss. He and his two sisters went into foster care when he was 3. They were all adopted by their foster parents who later divorced. And as Eli got older, his mental health issues became more challenging. Then, a pediatric doctor came into the family.
I knew, him and his family, and had worked with, his mom on, some of his injuries, and, kind of talking about, some of his, struggles with mental health. And after, Eli needed, a little bit more care, it was kind of, a partnership that his mom and I struck up.
Dr. Zach Goldstein tapped into every resource he could find to help Eli. The pair shared a lot of the same interests, among them hiking and the great outdoors.
Yeah, that's him and Huna.
Goldstein was in the process of becoming Eli's legal guardian.
He certainly loved his jerseys.
They were just about to move into a new home when Eli died. His bedroom, all set up for a new start, remains untouched.
You can really feel his presence here, because this is where he'd want to be.
Eli Fleetwood may be gone, but his legacy is very much alive in Eli's project. The new foundation that bears his name is bringing people together with family-friendly events to start a tough conversation and connect families with help.
I'm excited for the landscape to change, where parents can feel, really supported in, their children's mental health struggles.
Dr. Goldstein founded the nonprofit, which meets families where they are and gets kids talking about suicide.
It's something that I think we, as a society, can't glaze over anymore, and we have to address, and we need to, pour funding into, and find out really what the root cause is as to why these kids are getting to the point where they feel like that's the only option.
Eli's project has hit the ground running, raising money and getting grants to train both adults and kids in youth mental health first aid. Like CPR, it can be life-saving.
This course really gives people ownership in, making that step and intervening, and sometimes that's what helps to mitigate these really terrible situations from happening.
Another resource, peer-centered groups for kids called Group 988s, named after the 3-digit suicide hotline.
We're going to bring these kids in a group setting and, train them to identify crises in their friends and who to talk to.
The groups are already going in KPAC schools and will soon get started in Okemos. The pain from Dr. Goldstein's loss fueling the passion behind the project he says Eli would have embraced.
For every Eli out there, there's 10 more that haven't been identified.
Dr. Goldstein and Eli's beloved dog take comfort in the wooded backyard Eli treasured, a garden, and in the center, a peace pole with the lyrics to Billy Joel's song, "Only the Good Die Young," one of Eli's favorites.
You know, it was an absolutely horrific, terrible thing to lose him, but, you know, in the 15 years he lived, I mean, he really lived him up.
Eli's hiking boots still sit on the front porch, a symbol he's still here through the heart he drew for his dad on the logo for the project he started. And his dad says if Eli had lived into his adult years, he would have been a great therapist. Right before his death, he was promoted in his therapy program to help other kids, and now he is. This month, our You're Not Alone mental health series shines a light on military veterans and the rising rate of suicide.
22 a day. That phrase has become a call to action for advocates of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, the group that seems to be most at risk. Tonight, the story of one of those advocates, an Iraq War veteran who has made it his mission to tell fellow vets, you're not alone.
This is the armed forces.
A footlocker filled with military service memories that Doug Brinker is eager to share.
Those are the boots.
Brinker began his military career in the U.S. Navy in 1981, honorably discharged in '84, and that's when he says he began losing his sense of belonging and purpose.
And so I lived in a really dark black shadow of clouds and hopelessness.
15 years of broken relationships and more than 50 different jobs. It all came to a head on August 7th, 1999.
I didn't feel that I deserved to be on this earth and feeling hopeless and helpless, and so I made an attempt to end my life.
Unsuccessful, Doug turned to Lifeways, a mental health services agency in Jackson.
But I played a game. I took meds when I wanted to take them, and I went to therapy when I wanted to go, not when I needed to go.
That eventually led to a second suicide attempt in February of 2001.
I just felt that I had no purpose in this world. I had no meaning to exist.
Once again, Doug turned to Lifeways for help and to the military, enlisting in the Michigan Army National Guard in 2002.
I got the discipline back, I got structure, I got purpose, I got value and self-confidence.
Doug's tour of duty in Iraq lasted only 2 months when he came down with a near-fatal staph infection. And while he had to leave his band of brothers in the desert, the bands on his wrists remind him every day not to give in to the war within.
It sickens me to know that we've lost more veterans to suicide than Iraq and Afghanistan deaths combined.
When Doug Brinker walked through the doors of Lifeways after his first and second suicide attempts, he could never have imagined that he'd be working here, helping others, one day himself. How long have you worked here at Lifeways?
It'll be 6 years, January 8th.
Once a consumer of Lifeways services, Doug Brinker is now a veteran peer support specialist here, offering hope.
Helping one person every day, at least. One person.
H-O-P-E.
H-O-P-E.
And offering survival kits, which include gun locks.
Because if you keep a weapon secured at all times, the less likely of someone accessing using it for the wrong reasons.
And most importantly, he offers a listening ear.
To make sure that they know that they're not alone, that they have a full team of support underneath of them till they get through this crisis. So this means everything.
For his work at Lifeways, Doug Brinker has been called a beacon for hope, a description he proudly displays on his Jeep. And he uses every chance he gets to steer troubled vets toward the 988 crisis lifeline.
It's imperative to make it simpler to dial 988. If you're a veteran, press 1, and you're going to be connected with a veteran crisis specialist right away. This is all of Jackson County fighting war heroes, and then over here is dedicated to Iraq.
The names on the monuments at the Jackson Veterans Memorial are of those who died on the field of battle. Doug Brinker has dedicated his life to helping veterans here at home struggling with a mental health battle.
And so I look at all these great heroes that have laid the foundation for me and many other veteran advocates to be that beacon for hope and help those that are really hurting.
Whether it's lending a listening ear at Lifeways or promoting the 988 Crisis Lifeline, Doug Brinker faithfully upholds that familiar military motto.
No soldier left behind.
Kind of what you're doing now?
Kind of what I'm doing now. I wear a different uniform. I wear the uniform of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, but I wear a uniform of hope every day because I never know the next call might be life-saving.
Outside of his work at Lifeways, Doug Brinker is also the PTSD director for the Michigan VFW and is about to publish a book documenting his life leading up to his suicide attempts. It has 22 chapters representing the estimated number of veterans who die by suicide each day.
We are continuing our station-wide You're Not Alone series, and this month we've been focusing on the impacts that cyberbullying has on our mental health.
Of course, and cyberbullying most comes from social media, but what happens when your job revolves around it? I spoke to a few public figures who are in the spotlight. However, that light has been dimmed by some of those hurtful posts, so why don't we take a look?
When I was crowned, one of the first comments I got was, Miss Michigan USA should not be black.
If you do see, you could have 20,000 really positive ones and then just have one, and that one might get your, subconscious insecurity, and then you're like, oh, but what if that's true?
It's whack a troll online, just constantly deleting these comments because they weren't necessary.
Even with hundreds of thousands of followers, these women feel the weight of your words. Public figures are no strangers to the world of social media, using the outlet to promote their TV shows, music, and businesses. However, it comes with a price, and in this case, it was a crown.
And I remember it got to a point where I called my director and I said, I'm getting these comments and I'm gonna leave them up. Because if I delete them, I'm the only person that has to deal with it. And I want everybody to see the hate that people are throwing to me just because of who I am. I want people to have to face that and reckon with that.
Former Miss Michigan Taylor Hale tells me about the online racism she endured after winning the pageant. Although it helped her develop thicker skin, it didn't prepare her for the hate she received on a national level when she competed and won for Big Brother.
And when those people can't control you, they start to turn on you. So it's frustrating because I have endless amounts of gratitude for my fans and my community and my followers and subscribers. And because there were live feed cameras that all of America had access to, America saw the truth, which was I was not the villain everyone thought I was.
It's a similar sentiment that local pop singer Alicia Marie shared. In the past year, she was just shy of 10K followers on Instagram and was able to expand her audience using the platform. But with more performances, more venues, and more fans, she also received more hate.
Negative vibes, and so you could have the most amazing people saying how amazing you are, and then you can have those one or two that come through and is like, I hate your music, or I hate you, or whatever it is, or comment on your physical attributes.
Both women have learned to build their armor, but therapist Nedra Cannon says they shouldn't have to. She says that cyberbullies need to understand the weight of their words and the power of their posts.
People have the power to really encourage and pour into you as well as take away. But at the end of the day, if we all can really look more at being a light for each other, something that I say often to my clients is you water what you want to grow, right? So we do that for other people, but we also can do that more for ourselves.
She also encourages public figures to take social media breaks and practice uplifting affirmations.
What positive affirmations are you saying to yourself? Because the world is going to be cruel, anyhow. Why do you have to be cruel to yourself?
And it's something Taylor does every day and encourages others to do the same.
I always say there are people whose literal job it is to tell you no. Why would you be one of those people too?
Well, we have more resources for cyberbullying on WILX.com under the You're Not Alone tab.
It was just that feeling at that moment, and for whatever reason, I knew he died.
That's Christine Kunert, whose husband Scott was killed in a deadly car crash in 2014. The 9-year anniversary of his death just passed 2 days ago on December 5th. And while the holidays are typically joyful, for a lot of people like Christine, it is a reminder a loved one is no longer here. News 10's Maureen Halliday sat down with Christine, who is sharing her story of grief in hopes of making others feel like they are not alone during the holidays.
Knowing, but you still want to hear the words, and then you hear those words, I regret to inform you that your husband was killed.
December 5th, 2014. It was like any other day for the Kunert family. Christine and Scott were busy chasing around their 3 teenage boys, Max, Holden, and Quinn. That day, Scott went to Holden's hockey game. It wasn't until just after 10 p.m. the world came to a stop for the Kunerts.
Through the night, I got a few texts. Holden's playing great in the hockey game. And then at about 10:15, I took a call from Holden who said, Mom, there's been an accident and the bus has been diverted. And I think it's Dad and Mrs. Andery.
Scott was driving back from Holden's hockey game with family friend Ellen Andery. While driving home on US 127 near Mount Pleasant, they were hit head-on by a wrong-way drunk driver. The driver and Scott died on impact, while Ellen was airlifted to Sparrow Hospital. The devastation was insurmountable.
I spent over a year with a different child in my bed every night, and I would hold them crying until they fell asleep. And then my sweet dog would curl up next to me, and every night, and as I quietly cried, he would lick my tears. You, as a parent, balance not pretending your grief isn't there, but I needed to grieve alone. They're missing their dad, their family unit. I'm missing my family unit, but I'm missing the person that I had planned to grow old with. Yeah. I'm missing my right hand.
All right, where are you here?
This was our last family trip. We were in Washington, D.C.
Now, 9 years later, Christine flips through family photos, looking back on the life and love she shares with Scott.
People are afraid to say the person's name because they don't want to see them cry, but you don't forget. So, and it's so important to say the person's name who died. People want to hear it. They want to hear the stories. Even if you're going to cry, your person's not forgotten.
Embracing her grief is something Christine learned through group therapy at Ellie's Place, where she's the director. Christine and the kids went there a few months after Scott's death. It's where she learned how to keep Scott's memory alive during hard times like the holidays, hearing advice from people going through something similar.
The unwrapping of the big Christmas tree.
She said, so we always had a gift from my brother, and we would open it. And so you get these ideas. But yeah, the holidays I tried to keep it as similar as it was because life needs to go on, but also acknowledging and being honest that it's different.
While it's different now, the memory of Scott is everlasting.
He loved to be with his kids. He loved to be with his family. No matter how tired he was, I'll take that game. I'll do that. He loved to be with his kids.
Just the ultimate family man.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
And he was dedicated to his profession, but he was all about his family.
In Bath Township, Maureen Halliday, News 10.